Good morning, Reds. It's Talking Reds. It's John Gibbons and I'm with Harriet Prior. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever in the world you are, and I hope you're looking forward to some Euros action later. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, but we've got to start with the big news here on Merseyside at least, and it's going mad on social media as well. This unlikely turn of events that it looks like Rafa Benitez may be the next Everton manager. He looks like he's their first choice, and it looks like Rafa's keen as well. So I'm going to be asking you all your opinions, and so I've got the chat up. We're doing this live, so we're doing it live on YouTube, but on Facebook, on Twitter as well. So I've got our Facebook page and our YouTube open as well, because everyone seems to have a different opinion on there. I was having a little look last night, and everyone seems to think different things. And you know, I don't know whether you've managed to gather your thoughts on it, have you? But just looking at sort of Twitter last night, it feels like, you know, it's one extreme to the other.
Yeah, everyone has very opposite views on it, don't they? I mean, when it first all came out a couple of weeks ago, well, maybe it was just last week, it was like Steven Gerrard, I thought no chance, and Rafa, and I thought surely he wouldn't want to do that. But then when you look into it a bit more, he seems to be a bit more keen. I've got a couple of comments from 2019 here, and he said, obviously I have Liverpool connections, but at the same time we have a lot of friends in the city, I'm a professional, I want to stay in England and stay close to my family. And then he put that weird cryptic Instagram up, didn't he, being like, oh, I'm still in Liverpool, I'm at home on the Wirral, and then yeah, exactly, like, by the way, I'm still here. And then you're thinking, oh, actually maybe he does want to go for it. I think the thing is like you're having to have polar opposite views at the moment. There's people who are saying he's a Liverpool legend, if he went to Everton that would completely be wiped out, which, you know, fair enough, some people have a lot stronger views. I think, you know, other people are saying, well, we can appreciate everything that he did for the club, and, you know, he still brought Champions League home, gave us one of the best nights in our club's sort of history and in our lives, and especially in my lives growing up, that was one of the first matches I remember. So I'm never sort of going to turn against him and forget him for that and for all that he did. But it would be weird. It would be especially weird when we went to Everton next season and he was there playing as manager.
That's a really good point, Harriet, because I was trying to be sort of reasonable about it last night and think, well, Carl Chapman's made a point here, which I'll pick up on. He says he's gutted, which is fair enough, simple as, with all the clubs he could go to, why there. But where I disagree with Carl a little bit is I don't think he's got loads of great options at the moment. You know, he's not got people sort of banging on his door. He's been managing obviously out in China. He was at Newcastle, but he didn't go. You know, it went okay there, but obviously, the fans really loved him. But, you know, he got a 10th place finish and a 13th place finish. Not really enough for the real big clubs, cause sort of in this country, you know, to be sort of banging his door down. And so if he does want to manage in the Premier League, which, as you said, it seems like he does, and he would like a bit more time with his holding now with Coldy, you know, the options for him aren't sort of huge, really. And so he maybe just ended up, you know, in a bit of a situation where, you know, he's like, well, why not Everton sort of give it a go? He's obviously been Chelsea manager before and thinks, well, you know, I managed to sort of smooth that out with Liverpool, at least not necessarily with the Chelsea fans who didn't take to him. And that's another thing that he needs. He might be more concerned about us, but it's the Evertonian opinion is as wild as the sort of Liverpool one at the moment. But so I try and look at it quite reasonably, but like you've just said there, but then when you get to the point where, I mean, you've just said when we go to Goodison, I'm thinking about him coming to Anfield knowing how he can set up a team to frustrate, and he's dogging it, and the game's not going very well, and then maybe they nick one off a deflection or something, and suddenly, like, you know, you've got, like, it's Rafa Benitez sort of stood there, like, I think that's when all my reasonableness might go out the window.
But the same goes with the Everton team. I think as soon as they have a bad spell or a bad run, they're going to sort of blame him, and I think the pressure will be on him even more so because he is, you know, he's come from Liverpool, he's a Liverpool legend, and he loves the club so much. And ever since he's left, he's always made really clear that he still wants to be part of the Liverpool family and that he really wants to keep those connections and relationships with the club. So it is a bit confusing, but at the same time, he's 61 now. I think he's coming to the point where he just wants to be, you know, close to home and close to friends and close to family. And at the same time, you have to think about it, taking the emotional side out of it, from a purely professional point of view, from his opinion, he's probably thinking, well, it kind of makes sense. You know, it might be one of the last jobs he does before he retires, and he wants to be close to home, and he might just think, well, I'll give it a go, a bit of a paycheck to end my career, and you know, from a purely professional side of things, why would he not want to come back to the Premier League and manage a club? It's just unfortunate that it is going to be, looks like Everton that he's returning to. Looks like,
I'll just bring a few more comments in here. Tom VL says, the thought of Rafa going to manage the Bitters makes me feel sick. He's so much better than this. Throwing up emoji. So there you are. And then... But on the other side, Dougie just says, I just like him to be happy, which is just a nice way to be, isn't it? Good on you, Dougie. And me, myself and I says, it's only Everton, it's not Man United, which I will find outrageous. And there's another one that I wanted to read out. Well, I mean, I couldn't find the one I wanted, but Oh yeah, me, myself and I, they're gutted, but my love for Rafa is greater than my hate for little Everton, which I think is a good point as well. But then Bawley lad said, Rafa will be hounded out before Christmas if he went to the pit. And it's a decent point in that, you know, we're looking at it from a Liverpool point of view. We're a Liverpool fan channel, we're a Liverpool podcast, so it's like, well, how does it make us feel? But I mean, he picks his jobs, Rafa doesn't he? Did it? He went to Chelsea and they just didn't take to them, and you know, they made the mistake of giving him the interim manager title, so it always kind of felt like, you know, basically he was on a tightrope before he'd even started, and in the end, you know, he won a couple of trophies there, but by the end he just had to say, look, I'm going in the summer, can we all just get along till then and try and win stuff, and then I'm gone. Yous have won, and then they did all kind of come together a little bit and ended up with a couple of trophies. Everton feels like it might be worse for him there, and you know, obviously there's, you know, extreme comments again, you know, online you see an Evertonian saying that he won't go again and stuff like that, and you know, you always sort of get a little bit of that really, but you know, whether it's that extreme or not, there will be people in the ground who aren't happy, and if you go in not happy, it doesn't take much to sort of tip you into a sort of a negative mindset, and therefore a negative atmosphere for the team.
Yeah, he seems to absolutely love the drama more than he even loves managing. So I think for him, he'll have had probably extensive, you know, if it does manage to go through, he'll probably have had extensive conversations with the club about how the fans will take to him. And I think it's really easy to say, oh, the fans wouldn't like him going in, but as soon as they start getting some good results, and people are quite fickle, aren't they? And they're like, oh, he's ours now, so they'll sort of get over it. But I mean, he did call them a small club, you know, back in 2007 or whatever it is. And is that something that you ever really forgive? And he's tried to backtrack, hasn't he, and say, oh, I didn't mean small club, I meant small team, or I don't know, whatever he means, the difference. But those comments and those things that you've said in the past, I mean, yeah, they are 10 whatever plus years ago, but you still must think of them as an Everton fan. And if I was a Liverpool fan and someone was coming in to manage my club that had, you know, effectively talked crap about us in the past, and I think, well, you know, you clearly don't really understand what this club's about, and you never sort of had a connection with us, so why you all of a sudden want to come now? And they'll be thinking, oh, maybe it's just for a paycheck, and that's not really what you want. It's like, you know, from a motive side as a fan, you want someone who's coming in, that's going to understand the club, who's always loved the club or had some sort of connection with it, and he's literally not. He's literally had a connection with Liverpool, who are their rivals. But from my side of things, I think it's all well and good until they start doing well. But if they're still finishing 10th, then I'm like, you know what, you can stay there a couple of years, I don't really care. So yeah,
that'll be the test, won't it? How well they do in derby games, and obviously how well they do generally. I mean, the small club thing, like it's going to be the first question, first press conferences, and he sits down, the unveil, and Rafa, do you still think Everton are a small club, and if so, why have you come? And he sets himself up for that, and he'll know it's coming. But that's absolutely what the thing's going to be, and what the sort of mantra's going to be from the start. It feels a strange one from an Everton point of view. You know, they did feel like they had other managers. I thought they were going to go for Nuno, which I thought would be a good fit for them. You know, there's always the Ferguson option for them as well. Do you think it feels to me like the chairman Mashiri just wants to go for sort of almost the biggest name he can get? Like it's almost kind of like oh well, I had Ancelotti, I had this big European Cup winner, I need to get a big European Cup winner, rather than necessarily thinking about who's the best person kind of for the job and who's going to sort of develop these players. I don't know, it just feels like almost like an ego thing for me.
I think he just loves the drama as well, to be honest. They just all love the drama, they just all want to create drama. No, I mean, yeah, I think the Nuno shout would have been a really good option. I'm not sure why that's fallen through, if he's decided to go somewhere else or whatever, but it does seem a little bit strange. There was David Moyes chat as well, wasn't there? There was all sorts of sort of manager things going on. It does seem strange that the one person they go for is someone who literally led Liverpool to a Champions League, and it seems a bit strange. But at the same time, you know, maybe he does just want a big name, and maybe he thinks that's what they need to sort of elevate the status of the club. Maybe it's not about winning trophies and actually getting up in the Premier League. It's just about elevating the status, and then maybe he thinks the rest will come later. So if that's the way they're looking at it, then Rafa's obviously a good option, because he's someone that's definitely going to get the talk started around the club, around the country, around the world, really. So maybe if that's what they're looking for, then they've gone for the right person. But we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see. Just diving into the Facebook now. Our first top is someone like him at top. Very different to Facebook to YouTube, it's seen. People talk about the systems at Everton and whether it's sort of a right fit for him. Morning to Benny. Hope Brighton as well. Mike Howard says, calling 2 minds on Rafa, want to wish him well and can see why he's staying near his family, but don't want Everton to get anything. Can he just get them relegated and stay a Liverpool legend? And that will probably be the best of both for us.
Yeah, there's some people that think it's a massive conspiracy, don't they? They're He's just going to go in, destroy the team, leave after season. Don't think that's going to happen, but nice to think like that.
Yeah, and Nick Hine makes a good point here as well. He says he's a football manager and we don't want to hire him, and that is a good point. He's obviously been desperate to come back to Liverpool ever since he left. He didn't want to leave in the first place. He got forced out under the Hickson Gillette regime. There's lots of times where he'd love to come back to Liverpool and we didn't want him. So I think it's not like he's rejected us to go there, or it's not like he's rejected us or he left under a bit of a cloud from his behalf. He'd love the Liverpool job, but it first of all, it's not coming up anytime soon. No. Hallelujah. Yeah. But secondly, even if it was, Rafa wouldn't be considered. So if he wants to work, then this is a job.
Yeah, and he'd probably, like you said, he'd come back to Liverpool in a heartbeat, and I think he would have over the last sort of 5-10 years anyway. So yeah, I think for him it is kind of a second choice. I mean, probably not even a second, probably like a 10th choice thing, but it's come up, it's there. He like I said earlier, he's 61. He just wants to work for a couple more years, and it's a job. Like he wants to earn money. He wants to sort of be doing something, keep him busy. So I guess from his point of view, he's in the city he wants to be in. Why not? But yeah, for us, it's a little bit hard to digest, and for the Everton fans, it will be harder to digest as well. So. Yeah,
we shall see. Mike Howard, just one more, saying seeing Keys and Gray fuming about it was incredible. The whole thing was almost worth it just for that, to be honest with you. Andy Gray, who, as a reminder, played 68 times for Everton. I reckon I've been to Goodison Park more than that. But there you are. But Everton legend, of course. Right, we'll move on to other stuff then, because it can't all be Rafa and Everton, because things move on. The Euros is on at the moment as well, and the transfer rumours continue. Midfielder talk a little bit more. I just want one interesting one. There's the Koeman talk, but I want to talk about Lorenzo Pellegrini, who's Roma captain, 30 million euros. It does feel like we're keen on a midfielder. Obviously, there's the Neuhaus stuff that is, been strongly moved. Obviously, he's away with his national team now with Germany, so you wouldn't expect anything to happen sort of too soon on that, maybe. But Pellegrini got picked for Italy, didn't end up going because he was injured, but looks a really good player. And 30 million release clause. It feels a bit of a tasty one, and Michael Edwards loves a release clause.
Yeah, it just worried me that you said because he was injured, because I just don't want to. I don't want to hear the word injured.
Do you know what as well? Like, because it's like injured Italian midfielder just gives me Aquilani vibes.
It just doesn't give me good vibes. But the thing is, I read a bit about it this morning. I hadn't actually heard that much. It said it was sort of a three-way race between Tottenham and us, and it said according to Italian chatter. So whatever Italian chatter means,
Ciao Bella.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think obviously the links are as strong at the moment as they are to Neuhaus and other players. But ultimately, we know we don't need a replacement for Gini, I don't think, in the terms of his style of play, but just to replace his minutes and literally the sheer amount he played. And he looks like quite an interesting thing. I had a quick look. Yeah, the 30 million release clause, obviously that's not, it's mad saying 30 million isn't super expensive, but for a player nowadays, it's not super expensive. It said his strengths were good touch and vision, so there you go. And it said he had no specific weaknesses on the one YouTube video I watched. So, you know what, we're going to take it. But yeah, there was one clip. It's mad how you can watch any player on YouTube and you come off and you think, yeah, they're Messi. They're like Messi. They're good enough. But there was one point he had two players around him, and I thought it was going to be an amazing clip of him dribbling through, and then he just fell to the floor, and I thought, okay, this isn't really what I was looking for. But
especially from a player with no specific weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly, no specific weaknesses. But he seems to be a sort of an interesting option. He's quite young. I think he's 24, isn't he? Or sort of something.
Yeah, I think he's 24. I think about that.
He does seem to sort of fit the bill, and it said that he works quite hard off the ball, and obviously we know that Gini did work really hard off the ball. We need someone that's going to have that energy, and I think there's just doubts over whether he'd fit into the sort of tempo of Klopp's team, and we know that they play really high tempo football, and whether he'd be able to sort of slot into that. But I think as a sort of fifth or sixth choice, he might be an option, but I don't think that the links are as strong at the moment as they are to other players like Neuhaus. So we'll just have to see.
Wait and see how it develops. I mentioned that he wasn't in the Italy squad. They seem to be doing all right without him. And then if you watched the game last night, I thought they were excellent. And I think them and France, everyone seems to be saying that they've been the outstanding team so far. Obviously, there's other teams, including England, who've only played once. But France and Italy look really good to me. And fair play to Wales as well, on 4 points, doing well.
Yeah, I did watch a bit of the Italy game last night, and they did look strong. I think before the tournament, there wasn't as much focused on them. It was all about France and, that group with Germany and Portugal. And Germany haven't done quite as well as maybe they thought they would. And Portugal have only played, I think they've only played once, haven't they?
3-0, but I made a fight of it,
Yeah, so it's still sort of early early days, but Italy and France are now sort of being dubbed as the two front runners. So we'll just have to see how things play out. But yeah, it was a good Wales match last night, apart from Bale missing the penalty. But it happens to the best of us. So yeah, I was one of those people before the Euros who was like, I'm not that into it. I'll watch a few matches, and now
it's a bit of a break from footy.
Yeah, a bit of a break, and now it's on every night, and I'm watching every match. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing England play, even if not that invested as if I'm watching Liverpool, but it's still good to watch national team, isn't it? So yeah, I think to be honest though, France and Italy are the front runners now. We'll have to see what happens with the other teams. And I'm still got an eye on Portugal. I said that before the tournament. I still think they've got, I know Ronaldo's getting older now and he's not what he used to be, but he's still quite a presence in that team. And I think they have got, Jota as well. Always like watching Jota. So yeah, well, it's turning into quite a good tournament. And VAR doesn't seem to be that much of a chat in it, which I always like. Football without too much VAR. So
there we are. If you're in our Scudetto League, do let us know how you're getting on. I was doing all right at first, and then plummeted very, very quickly. A bit like my performances at five-a-side. To be honest with you, I would not be listed as no obvious weaknesses if anyone was to do an. Don't laugh, John. John, see me play. But do let us know how you're getting on in the Scudetto League if you're joining us. And also, shout out to me who tipped Turkey as a bit of a dark horse in this tournament. Lost both games so far and been absolutely rubbish. So there we are. Generally, my Euros predictions going really, really well. But do look out for loads of great stuff coming out on the Anfield Wrap audio and video over the next couple of days. We'll be back with the Talking Reds tomorrow. I think it's not going to be live tomorrow. I think we're going to get outside and enjoy some Liverpool sunshine. But thanks a lot for joining us. Cheers to Harriet. And to you guys, have a lovely, lovely day.